Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Today I'm hanging out in my sweat lodge, my garage. It's like 95 degrees out here, and by the end of this video, I'm probably going to have all kinds of little glistening beads of sweat all over my face, but just gonna have to deal with it. I don't have AC here in the garage yet, but today we're gonna talk about walking topwater baits. I love walking topwater baits. You know, I don't consider myself an expert topwater fisherman for, you know, a lot of different categories of baits, but a walking topwater bait is one of my favorites because I'm a power fisherman. I love covering water very, very quickly, and I love using baits that allow me to do that. And a walking topwater bait is one of the best topwater baits for covering, especially structure, really quick. So like long tapering points, humps, large flats. This bait right here is probably the best topwater bait for that situation. So I wanted to share with you some of the tips that I've kind of come up with over the years on how to fish these baits and what type of tackle that I'm going to be using. And so with that being said, let's talk about the tackle that I like to use with these walking baits. First off, let's talk about the rod, because I think that this is a really important component for a walking topwater. I like to use a 7.3 to 7.5 foot medium heavy rod. My favorite is the Versa series from Fitzgerald. That's my favorite series for, you know, pretty much all the reaction baits that I'm going to be using. And the reason why I like a medium heavy with a fast action rod is because I like to have that good solid backbone, but still have a little bit of tip to allow this bait to, or this rod to load up on the cast. So I can make long casts, but I've got that good backbone to get a good solid hook set on a long cast, and also a fast action to really impart the right action to this bait, because you want that like 180 degree, you know, walk the dog action, back and forth, back and forth. And so 7.3, 7.5 foot, if I'm making really long casts and I'm just trying to cover a ton of water, a 7.5 foot is actually my favorite rod for this technique. But if I'm kind of maybe fishing it around maybe some floating docks, or, you know, trying to make a little bit more precision casts, that's when I'll go to the 7.3. But a 7.3 is also a really good all-around rod for a walking topwater. The reel is also really important. Just use the fastest gear ratio that you can. I like usually like an 8.1 to 1 is my favorite. This one right here, I just happen to have this on a 7.2 to 1. That's still a great ratio. That's pretty fast. This is the FX8 from Fitzgerald, but 8.1 to 1, you can't beat it. You just need something that you can get in that slack real quick, make another cast real fast, you know, just be efficient with that reel. So 8.1 to 1 would probably be my first choice. The line is where we're gonna start diving into some of the things that I've really changed with my arsenal over the years. It started out that I used just monofilament. I would spool this up with probably 15-pound test monofilament, and that was fine because monofilament floats and it does work well with topwaters. But the one thing that monofilament doesn't do good is the fact that it has a ton of stretch. So on a very long cast, because remember, we're making extremely long casts on structure with these baits, and on a very long cast, if I was to get a bite within the first 10 feet, you know, and it's 120 feet out there, you know, I might not get a good solid hook set, or I might miss that fish altogether because of that monofilament and that extra stretch. So nowadays what I do is I use braided line. I use 30 or 40 pound Seaguar Tactics braid, and the reason why I like the Tactics braid, which is a new line from Seaguar, is because it has a very tight round weave to it. So that allows me to make very long casts, and I just like the roundness of this braid. And so 30, 40 pound test, that seems to be the sweet spot. But the biggest key is, if you're going to use braid, you don't want to just use braid. You want to make sure that you have some sort of leader on there made of a monofilament. Again, monofilament floats. You know, this is one of the only situations that I use monofilament over fluorocarbon, and so the reason why you want this short little leader on here is because if you just use straight braid, if you've tried this, you know what I'm talking about. If you just use straight braid and tied it directly to the bait, what happens is this braid is so soft and it folds over on itself so easily that what happens is when this bait is going side to side, that line might tangle around one of the back hooks and it'll foul up your entire, cast. So that's not what you want. So just a small length of 15 or 20 pound monofilament line, that's all you need. 12 inches is really perfect. This is probably 14. This is a little bit longer than I generally like. But all it really has to be is as long as the bait. You just want to keep that braided line away from those back hooks. And just so you know, the knot that I like to use is the same knot that I use for connecting all braid to nylon lines, and that is a uni to uni knot. Just works really good for me. It's really strong and easy to tie. So while we're talking about the hooks and not snagging the line on the hooks, let's also talk about how important really sharp hooks are. So I always change out the treble hooks on my walking topwaters because you would be amazed at how many fish you will miss because you use the stock hooks on a walking bait. It's really important to have ultra sharp hooks. And it's also really important to change them out with hooks that are the same size as the stock hooks. So what I use is, of course, the Hayabusa treble hooks. I use the ones with the NRB coating because I feel like I can get a really, really good solid hook set, even way out there. That coating just really helps you get good penetration with, on the length of a cast. So changing out your hooks is super, super key. All right, so the last tip is probably the sneakiest and probably the most important tip on this video, and it pertains to how the line is tied to the line tie here. So if you were to tie your line to the line tie and the line was coming straight off the nose for some reason, and I don't really fully understand why, but this is just how it is. With a walking topwater bait, if that line is coming straight off the front, it tends to not walk as easily. It's harder to make this go that full 180 degree, side to side action, that walk to dog action that you're looking for. But if you were to tighten this knot and have it kind of come down at a 90 degree angle from the line tie like this, for some reason, the bait walks way better. So one thing that I do that I think is really important, and in fact, I probably need to add one more knot here, is I'll tie 2, 3, even 4 knots on and cut each of them off before I finally tie my knot to connect it to my line. And as you can see here, I've got 2 of these knots right there, and because I have those there, it kind of forces that connection to kind of point down a little bit, not quite at 90 degrees, but close. And so that allows me to always keep that knot in the right position to make it walk side to side. Now you can walk side to side with the line coming straight off the nose, but I'm telling you, it's way easier if that line kind of comes off at a 90, 45 degree angle, whatever it may be, off the bottom. So you want it kind of coming down off the chin. So definitely give that a shot, tie some knots, cut them off, and make that connection kind of come off the chin of the bait. Anyways, guys, thank you for watching. Hopefully this helps you be a better walking topwater bait fisherman. I love these baits. They are awesome and they're great for covering water. I've got to get back in the air conditioning right now, so I'm going to take off, but thank you guys for watching. I'm going to see you out on the water.